When I first started playing music, I played the electronic piano, and it was very difficult. It was uneasy for me to study, and it was only just recently that I received this piano. It was simply a miracle. This young pianist has won more than 90 awards. Hammers work in this instrument, and there are certain sounds that you can merge with this instrument. The owner of the title The Most Creative Child of Ukraine in the contest Wonder Child. I can demonstrate you how the system works here.
Получается, когда каждая клавиша нажимается, внутри...
When the key is pressed, the small hammer rises inside. It strikes the string and then drops immediately, but the valve is always on top. He is the youngest musician from Ukraine who played at Carnegie Hall, one of the most prestigious venues in the world. He is listed in the National Register of Records of Ukraine. Antonio Brasileiro Johnson is a 14-year-old pianist who has won the hearts of thousands of people in the US and around the world. The story of this young musician from Kyiv, the son of a US citizen and a Ukrainian woman, began as a story of an ordinary child. At the age of 5.5, Antonio's mother Irina signed him up in the piano department of the Kyiv Musical School No. 10. Music has always sounded in our home. Thanks to my husband, I got acquainted with traditional American jazz and then Brazilian jazz. So when we were faced with the choice of where to send our child for schooling, it was clearly music. The fact is that Antonio was not very adept in sports, so he would not become an athlete. So we decided to send him to music school. It was quite natural that the piano was Antonio's instrument. After all, his father is also considered a piano man. I started playing music at the age of 6, just like he did. I know that it helps a lot in physical development, and it is very emotional. After a while, it became clear that Antonio not only plays well, but he has a good feel for music. The boy was not ordinary in his youth. He was very sympathetic, very emotional, and very responsive to music. Initially, it was not easy for him to adjust his hands to the piano, but he managed to adapt through his emotional responses. It was then that I realized that he had a good sense of hearing the melodies. Step by step, Antonio began to show results. At the age of 6, he began participating in piano competitions, and today Antonio Johnson is a laureate of 96 all-Ukrainian and international competitions, and the owner of 9 grand prizes. The young musician also prepared and conducted 4 solo concerts in Ukraine and abroad. In 2015, Antonio took part in the International Forum on NATO Security in Warsaw. In the evening, he gave a solo concert for the attendees of the forum. When I played there, nobody knew that I was a Ukrainian musician. Well, just think, how can a boy named Antonio Brasileiro Johnson be a Ukrainian musician? There was our ambassador, Andriy Deshitsa. After I played, he came up and told me that he was thrilled by my performance. He said it is wonderful that there are such young Ukrainians who can not only defend their country, but are also brilliant in the sphere of art. After I finished, the audience gave a standing ovation. In 2016, in Vienna, Antonio played a solo concert at the International Forum Musical Performance and Pedagogy. Over 8 years of study at the musical school, Antonio gave more than 150 concerts and performances. His teacher always intended his performance to give his student the moral support he needs to give a great performance. Antonio has Austria, Lithuania, Poland, Italy, and the US on his resume of tours. We won in the American Prodigy contest, and thanks to our victories, we were invited to perform in Carnegie Hall in New York 3 times. And I consider this to be the highest achievement, because all musicians and vocalists dream of performing on this world-renowned stage. It is highly respected and is worth a lot for any musician. Among Ukrainian composers and musicians that performed on this prestigious stage were Vladimir Horovets, Vadim Holodenko, and Sviatoslav Richter. Among them is Antonio Brasileiro Johnson with the nomination in the National Record of Ukrainian Records. He's the youngest pianist to play solo on the stage of the Isaac Stern Auditorium. This is the main hall in Carnegie Hall. Recently, Antonio participated in a jazz concert of the composer Alexander Saratsky, which took place in the National Philharmonic of Ukraine. This is not the first time that Antonio has performed with an orchestra of mature and highly experienced musicians, but at every time it is a very special event for him. Before I start to play, I am very nervous. After all, they're professionals, and I have to show my best. The most important thing is not to screw up, because these are people who understand your performance. The main thing is to show all your best, so that they will show you all their best. For his services and success in music, Antonio won the Kyiv Mayor Scholarship for the 5th time. But he would not have achieved such great success without tremendous support. It is very important to set your priorities straight. Here there should be, in a manner of speaking, a conglomerate of a child, a teacher, and the child's parents. His mother was standing there, and the entire school was laughing. He said, "Mama was holding a frying pan in her hand, shouting at me, saying that I should do my homework. First of all, I am never lenient. I mean it quite seriously. And I think that my assignment is crystal clear. There must be strictness in music with no leniency. We cannot afford to make any mistakes because we have serious responsibility before a third person, whether we're performing in some competition or giving a concert." Antonio grew up and was brought up in a creative atmosphere. In his family, music is given special attention. Even the name of this talented teenager is connected with music. His name is Antonio Brasileiro Ruben Johnson. This name is from the very famous Brazilian composer Antonio Carlos Brasileiro Jobim, who was the most famous modern composer in Brazil. He is the forefather of the genre of music known as bossa nova. By the way, we're friends with the family, his son, with his grandson, and so on. So this is the reason that we wanted Antonio to become a musician, and that's why we thought of such an unusual name for him. So it should be not surprising that an ordinary dinner for this family can sometimes be very unusual. Sometimes when our dad comes home from a business trip, he usually prepares dinner for us. And then we sit down at the table to enjoy a hearty meal under candlelight. This is par for the course. Then we place all the candles in the kitchen and the living room.
И тогда уже свечи расставляются по квартире, потому что, мы электричество не очень любим. Вот. И Ruben начинал...
Then Ruben started to play music, and I sometimes said to him that Antonio is not a singer, but in a cozy home atmosphere, he learned to sing a song of Frank Sinatra, and his father accompanied him.
И вот папа аккомпанирует, Антонио поет, но чаще всего Ruben...
However, Antonio most of all sang the classic songs of Tony Bennett, some bossa nova, and many other different kinds of interesting musical improvisations.
Какие-то импровизации.
God as far as the door. They'd ask me about you and get around what you know.
But Antonio is not only attracted to playing the piano. He has yet another favorite pastime, and it is not computer games. Antonio has absolutely no interest in computers.
Antonio
is crazy about construction. He is able to make such delicate things that I couldn't do at his age. A few years ago, when he was little, he liked transformers, meaning toys that can be transformed from cars into robots. Later, he became a serious fan of Warhammer models.
покрасить эти солдаты и макеты.
They were special models of painted soldiers that were the key figures in a special war game. A minimum of 2 years should be devoted to this game in order to build up an entire army. After that, anybody who has the desire can go to some game club and play in a space war with some cosmic soldiers. And for Antonio, it is very important that the war can be only between toy soldiers. The young virtuoso is against war, and he even organized his major solo concert, which he himself named Children Against War.
В конце концерта
At the end of the concert, something happened that touched my heart, and all adults who were present, including journalists.
Антонио выступил на сцене и говорит: "Я Антонио."
Before the concert, Antonio said, "I'm Antonio Johnson, a future musician, and I'm against war."
Такая девочка маленькая, лет 5, говорит:
One girl stood up and said, "I'm Maria, and I'm 5 years old. I'm a future artist, and I'm also against war." Almost all of the children that performed that evening addressed the audience with those very same heartfelt words. Antonio has a very tight schedule. Only hard work and determination will allow a person to achieve high results, and today these young virtuoso pianists understand this very well. But there was a time when he just wanted to be an ordinary child.
Когда я был маленьким, всегда хотелось погулять больше.
When I was a little kid, I always wanted to walk more. My friends invited me to play football with them, but I had to do my work and nobody likes it.
И всегда
Moreover, I always wanted to have fun and play like friends did.
Она говорила: потом погуляешь, и всегда будет
Sometimes I had absolutely no desire to play on some musical instrument. It was a lot more fun to run around with friends, jump all about, and climb onto my father's
на
back.
диване, полазить на папе, как я раньше делал.
Today, Antonio can adjust his daily routine. He knows and understands perfectly well how much time he needs to dedicate to music, but the schedule is so stringent that without his mother's control, he will not attain his goal.
потому что успеть все и учиться хорошо в школе.
It is very important that he studies well in school, does his homework, eats hearty breakfast, engages in his music lessons at home, and attends his music school lessons after that.
Сделать урок музыкальный дома.
My main task is to give him the freedom to engage in those hobbies that he enjoys. I also understand that it is very hard work that requires a lot of effort.
Помимо музыки, как вот его хобби, необходимо рассчитывать, конечно, каждый день по минуте.
Вот моя мама — это...
I must admit that my mother is the ideal organizer and a wonderful person. She's constantly busy. Our daily schedule is planned to the very last second.
Расписан до секунды. Я не преувеличиваю.
Дети тогда, когда...
When children are given a timetable, they understand that they're protected and know exactly what they have to do next. This teaches them how to manage their time.
Прежде всего, я говорю всем...
I say to all mothers that you should give all of your love to your children.
Очень сильно любить.
But it should be within reason. I'm ready to give all of my heart to my child, but I have certain
Я
demands.
готова отдать ему все, но при этом я и требую.
Surrounded by care, love, and kindness, Antonio is ready to share this with others. The family is happy to participate in charity evenings and promotional events. I simply wanted to show that human kindness, spirituality, and art will always be the ultimate winners in the cold-blooded world of high technology.
Я понимаю, что...
I understand that I live in prosperity. I can do whatever I want. I live in an apartment with the best amenities. My parents care about me, and I'm very grateful for all of their assistance.
Очень заботливые люди, и я очень всему...
Believe me, I understand that many children in our country do not have the advantages of such assistance, and they need not only strong moral support, but also material support. Antonio family lives by the principle that there is nothing impossible in life and in this world. The young musician is used to setting goals for himself and achieving them. With such an approach, Antonio will realize all of his dreams. One of my dreams in life is to create and perform live with a jazz band. The problem is that I don't know how to find musicians that I would be willing to collaborate with. I think that would be a lot of fun. My second dream is to always be a good person, find an interesting job and earn a decent pay so that I can live a good and secure life.
Самое главное — это чтобы жизнь была хорошая. И третье, и мне кажется, это чуть-чуть менее важное. Это научиться собирать...
My third dream is to learn how to assemble my own car. Antonio is a very sociable teenager and knows that he's talented, but he understands that his talent is not a guarantee that he will live well. Daring and talented, bold and restless, independent and happy. They're our future, the future of Ukraine.